PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to PACTV Community News. We have a great show for you tonight with stories from our communities. We'll meet the new caretaker of Pembroke's Ada Hall House, stop into an Abigail Adams event, and meet a new Kingston author.
We'll also hear what it takes to do some home brewing. Our Local Eats takes us back in time at the Mayflower Grove Grill, and Town Talk brings Pembroke's town administrator on the set.
It's going to be a great show, and we'll begin with a loud and furry event in Plymouth. A little threat of rain didn't scare away man's best friend and their owners for this recent Bartoberfest. The Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce's annual Bartoberfest was another great success, bringing together dog lovers in the region for a little doggy fun. PCN stopped by to capture all the excitement.
Stumbling like a sailor falling off on the ferry boat, I was at the bar till 3 a.m. But I wasn't ready to go. No, I'm never ready to go. Let it ride easy down the road. Let it ride.
Today the Chamber of Commerce has our annual Bartoberfest. We hold it every year at Nelson Park down on Plymouth's waterfront. We have everything from blessing of the animals to cutest dog contest to costume contest, fastest tail wag, you name it, we have it for the animal lovers. We do it because we love the dog community and it's a great community event. We have a couple thousand people that come down to the waterfront for this event, and this is our 7th or 8th time having it.
This is Mona. She's a rescue from Bald is Beautiful. And she's now about 3 years old. We have 2 other rescues from Bald is Beautiful, and we're doing a raffle today with dogs on deployment and Bald is Beautiful to have a professional photo taken.
How do they get through Bald? Are they born that way? Or
They're born that way. They just have a mutation, so they don't have any fur. Like we have another one, it's a Mexican hairless, so they have a tendency to lose all their teeth as well because of it. But they're very sweet. They don't know they're small dogs. They think they're big dogs. Speak! Speak! Good boy! Speak! Speak! Good boy! Hold on, I gotta get a treat out. I gotta. Oh.
what's it like to win this tournament?
It feels really special. We've been training a lot, and he gets really good at it. He gets louder and louder every time. He's such a good boy. He's only 1.5 years.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a boxer.
Ready? Coda, drop it.
Drop it.
Came from Hawaii, and she was commissioned in the U.S. Navy as a mouser dog. Get the mouse and the rats off the ships, submarines. Dog for mousing, yes. And if she gets outside off the leash, she's a one-track mousing dog. Yeah.
We got the photo booth set up for the dogs, so I set the camera real low. People get in there and they crouch down with their dogs, and then there's strips that get printed out from a printer, and then I give them the strips. So it's like an old school photo booth company from the 1930s, but we do weddings and events, stuff like this, fairs and festivals. So
I filled an application out with Friends of the Plymouth Pound, and Gail started emailing me some photos of Bo. He came up from Tennessee, and I met him here last year at Bartoberfest, and we adopted him. And we've had him a year, and we love him very much. He's a part of our family, and we're so happy that we got him.
Good boy! I know.
Plymouth native and actress Linda Myer plays the role of several historic American women and has portrayed Abigail Adams for nearly 20 years. As part of her one-woman trilogy entitled Abigail Adams, Remember the Ladies, Myer, by popular demand, returned to the Drew Library in Duxbury over this past weekend. The show was sold out, and PCN's Sullivan was there to take in a bit of history.
Saturday, October 18th, folks gathered at the Drew Library in Duxbury for a special historical presentation. Here at the Drew Archival Library inside the Allison Franklin Hoyt Reading Room is where Linda Myer will be doing her one-woman show as Abigail Adams.
She has a one-woman trilogy called Remember the Ladies. We welcomed her about a year ago to do the revolutionary portion, and today she joins us once again to a sold-out crowd to do the Federalist-era White House history.
Linda Myer has been playing the role of Abigail Adams for the better part of the past 20 years. After reading letters that Adams had written to her sister between the years of 1788 to 1803, Myer was truly inspired.
When I first started studying her, she felt very remote to me. And then when I started reading the letters, I felt like, oh my God, I felt like I could really feel her soul in a certain kind of way.
Gentlemen, I hope none of you voted for him.
This show in particular, with her portrayal of Abigail Adams, is the most political of Linda Myer's presentations, and she hopes the audience fully understands the implications of the content.
I don't know, have you read the articles?
What I really hope people take away from it is the realization that in this early period of our nation, after the Revolution, that we were always in peril of falling apart, that it was completely unclear whether this experiment would work. And when we look around the world today and see other nations that are grappling with some of the same issues of how do we go through a revolution and try to create a democratic form of government, that we should have more compassion for the struggles that they go through, because we went through them too.
Linda Myer credits her training in the theater for being able to stay in character during the question and answer session.
That is my acting training. I have worked in improvisational theater for a long time. When I first started doing Abigail Adams, one of the things that I used to do was lead walking tours of the Freedom Trail as Abigail Adams that would be followed by a lunch with the participants where I was in character the whole time.
And of course, a sold-out show is a morale boost for any actor.
I was thrilled with the turnout for today's event. It was a full house.
Reporting from Duxbury, I'm Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
The Kingston Public Library kicked off its fall reading series with an author talk that featured author Patry Francis, who led a discussion about her newest novel, which is set on the tip of Cape Cod. PCN stopped in to hear more about the author and what influenced her desire to write.
The name of the book is The Orphans of Race Point. It's been difficult for people to categorize. Some call it a family saga, a love story, a suspense, or a mystery, or even a coming-of-age story. But the truth is it has a little bit of all those elements. My intention when I wrote it was just to tell a really compelling story that people wouldn't be able to put down, to be entertaining, because I think that's one of the duties of a writer. And also, to, when you finish it, maybe think a little more deeply about certain subjects and certain aspects of your own life. Those are the two things that I think literature can do for people. It lifts you out of your own life, and it also teaches you something about your own. I just like hearing the feedback that I get from other people as to why they read the book. Everyone is different. I write in my living room with my two dogs and at my feet and my cat at my shoulder. And I wrote it longhand, as crazy as that may sound. Certain kind of notebooks, I was fanatic about that. And it really took so long because I wrote one version of it. My agent tried to sell it, and it didn't sell. And an editor had an idea for it that I couldn't accept at the time. But I put it aside for several years, and I woke up one morning. The subconscious mind is always working, and I knew that was exactly what I needed to do. I used to go to the Brockton Public Library, which was a really great library, and it was really many books. I used to like to read a lot of biographies, actually, and I was so inspired by every week I'd come home with something else I wanted to do. I wanted to fly planes like Amelia Earhart. I wanted to make scientific breakthroughs like Marie Curie. I wanted to be the first woman president. And in writing, you can't do all those things, but in writing, you can imagine. And you can live many lives through writing. So that was part of it. What I would say to someone who wants to become an author is that primarily you have to read. If you don't love books yourself, you're not going to be able to communicate that to anyone else. And just reading, by reading, you assimilate the cadences of the language. It becomes natural to you, the rhythms of plot. Just so much of writing is unconscious, and you just naturally assimilate it through reading a lot. I wrote about the fishing industry in Provincetown, how it's changing, and it's changing life for people down there. And it's very similar to what happened in Brockton with the shoe factories. It changed the whole character of the town. And it's happening, and I've heard from people all around the country, whether in coal mining or working on the railroads, or all walks of life who have been influenced by the changes in our industry.
The Ada Hall House in the heart of Pembroke has been a fixture and iconic image of this historic integrity of the town for many years. Recently, the trust which maintains the house selected a new caretaker. His unique ideas may bring new life to the structure and the grounds. PCN met up with this new caretaker to hear more about the plans.
My name is Kyle Harney, and I have been named the second caretaker of the Ada Hall House, a historic property owned by the Pembroke Historical Society. The house was built in 1685 by Robert Barker, Jr., who was the son of the man who founded the town of Pembroke, Robert Barker, Sr. The private apartments where I'm going to be living are upstairs and the kitchen downstairs. And then there are 4 rooms that are open to the public by appointment. There are also 5 acres of grounds that are included in the property as well. I am very, very proud to be involved in the next chapter of this great old lady. She's a wonderful house and a beautiful, beautiful testament to what preservation can do in the towns. The museum portion of the property is open by appointment only, but you can reach the Pembroke Historical Society and they can schedule an appointment, and then you just have to come over and you can take a tour through 18th century America. As I said a moment ago, I am the second caretaker in the history of the property. The previous caretaker, Mr. Richard Kidd, lived here for almost 50 years. He maintained the property beautifully. I think you may see some pictures of some of the acreage. There's never been any chemicals put on any of this property. It's completely organic. We're going to move forward with that idea as well. We're going to restore one of the gardens to an 18th century period garden. And then there's another portion of the property which I'm going to develop as an actual working garden. And so when people come to visit, they'll see a real taste of what it was like to live in colonial America, pre-colonial America, actually. We're also considering possibly getting chickens. I think I will forego the livestock, however. And as we move forward and I get more settled in my role here as caretaker, I will learn more and see if we can have more open houses so the public can come in and see it, more often. Mr. Kidd was a wonderful caretaker, but he was getting on in years, and I just think it was probably sort of a nuisance for him to have to deal with large crowds at the house. And it is a beautiful property, and it's very special. It's a jewel in the crown of Pembroke's historic structures, and I'm very proud to be able to call it home.
Are you thinking about brewing your own beer this fall, but worried you might blow up your basement in the process? Or worse, make a beer that you can't even drink? Well, we met up with the owner of Plymouth Home Brew to give the straight skinny on how to brew up the perfect brown ale this season at minimal risk to you and your house.
Now that fall's rolling around, a lot of people are starting to brew their own beer, either for the first time or they kind of set aside the summer and now it's a little bit cooler. It's a lot better temperatures to start making beer again. A lot of people brew seasonally, and that could be anywhere from an Oktoberfest to a pumpkin beer to a really nice brown beer or a stout. And I'll just kind of give you some examples of how to brew a nice brown ale that's really easy to drink. It ferments really quickly, and it tastes awesome for this time of year. Whenever anyone comes in, whether it's their first time here or their first time brewing, I just want to make sure that they are familiar with the ingredients that go into beer. For here, there's a couple different ways to brew beer. There's malt extracts, there's dry malt extracts, there's liquid malt extracts, and both are really great, easy ways to get started brewing without spending a whole lot of time and commitment to make it. There's a lot of really easy ways to get started with kits, but coming up and taking a recipe and actually putting the ingredients together makes it a little bit more fun. So in making a brown ale, you'll want to add some nice dark roasted malts. There's chocolate malts, there's a little bit of roasted barley, and they just give some really nice chocolate flavors, a little bit of coffee notes. Then there's crystal malts, and those add a lot of really nice nutty flavors, toffee notes, a little bit of caramel. This adds a little extra sweetness to it to help balance the different flavors out. After you've picked out your different malts that you want to use, we're actually going to go over to the hop fridge and pick some hops out. When you're picking out a recipe and going through your ingredients, there's a few different hop varieties. As you can see, there's a lot of hop varieties themselves, but there's two different ways to produce hops. There's whole leaf hops that are still in the cone shape, or there's the pellets that are condensed and also get a little bit extra flavor out of the pellets versus using the whole leaf. There's a lot of different yeast varieties. There's dry powdered yeast and there's liquid yeast. This is just a basic dry yeast, almost like what you would find at the grocery store to make bread with. But these different varieties give you different flavors to produce the proper style of beer and to give it the right flavor. Once you have all of your ingredients to make your beer, you're just going to lay them all out in order that you're going to need them and get your boiling pot ready with your water that you're going to need. The biggest thing is just trying to figure out what size pot you're actually going to need. If you're doing an extract beer, 5 gallons is plenty. Once you're done brewing and you go through your boiling process, you're going to cool it down and you're going to put it in a fermenter and you're going to let it ferment. When you're transferring from your primary fermenter into a bottling bucket to make it easier to bottle your beers, very little of that sediment that sits down at the bottom gets transferred back into that beer. The biggest thing is you want to use the proper siphoning equipment, and there's a couple different things that you can use, but my favorite is the auto siphon. Just a couple pumps and it gets the siphon going. I first sanitized my bucket and my auto siphon so that I'm not transferring any bad bacteria to make my beer go bad. And I'm just going to stick this down in the center. And I'm just going to give it 1, 2 pumps. And I'm just going to let this set down in the bottom. Try and center it. And that's about it. The Plymouth area has a lot of beer enthusiasts that have been really great and supportive in coming in here and sharing their knowledge, not only with me but with other people, and then to transfer that and help new people come in and start their own beers or wines. It's been really, really rewarding. So that's the clearest beer I've ever made.
Our local Eat segment takes us to Pembroke this month for some healthy and hearty fare from the Mayflower Grove Grill.
David and Karen Miglietta always knew that they wanted to own a restaurant, a place that served good whole food, a place where customers really felt like friends. Then 3 years ago, an opportunity came up in a part of Pembroke that has a fun history. Good food, friends, and family came together to create the Mayflower Grove Grill. you. You're very welcome. David, tell me about the inspiration behind your menu.
As long as it's fresh, that's what I wanted to get. As you can tell, yes,
no preservatives?
No preservatives, none whatsoever. Nothing comes out of a can in this place. It's got to be fresh. If it isn't fresh, I don't want it here. People eat with their eyes. You know, if they see something that looks good, they're going to eat it all up. And there's a lot of plates that come back here that are completely empty. And that makes me smile. That makes me feel really good. Corned beef hash is very popular. That's made here on the premises. When I get the corned beef out, I'll rinse it down, pat it off, dry, and I'll get my garlic oil that we make on the premises, and I'll rub it all down the garlic, and then I'll get that rub that we have has close to 20 different ingredients, from ground mustard to granulated garlic to brown sugar, cayenne pepper, black pepper, onion powder. I'm not going to continue. That's our little secret. And it'll sit overnight. It takes like 6 hours to cook. As you can see, this is all nice and caramelized. The brown sugars did a job. And that is absolutely perfect. Falls right off. Nice and moist. We just cut it into little pieces. We go through like 60 pounds a week. It's supposed to be one scoop, but I don't believe in that. This is one of our key items on the menu that people enjoy.
Here you go, Donna. Our signature dish, our homemade corned beef hash.
That looks fantastic. Well, I'm enjoying this amazing breakfast you've made for me. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the name Mayflower Grove Grill.
So the Mayflower Grove was actually an amusement park right down the street from here on Little Sandy. And what they did back then is the train, which ran from Brockton down to Plymouth, what they did is they built amusement parks midway to attract the ridership during the weekends, as well as give them a turnaround spot. So they built the amusement park, and it just seemed to fit where, you know, that was all around the family, the friends, and the food coming together, just like we are here at Mayflower Grove Grill.
With our pancake batter, we add our maple syrup, and we have whipped egg whites, and we also had vanilla. It tastes like a sugar cone. Our steak tips, this has been in the family for a long time.
We're going to have the Mayflower.
The Mayflower, okay, and how would you like your eggs cooked on that?
Scrambled.
Scrambled, and bacon or sausage?
I'll take the bacon, please.
Excellent.
In addition to amazing food, your customers are so important to you. Tell me what you want people to take away from their experience here at the Grove.
I mean, it really is all about, you know, being able to give, you know, our customers a great product and watch them enjoy it. I mean, we joke about it. David just watches people sometimes as they eat. I mean, he just loves to see their expressions and how much they do enjoy the food. The other thing, I really, you know, having been to breakfast places when my kids were little, it's about the service as well. And we're all friends here. You know, everybody's backing each other up and helping out, and customers can see that. They see that we work together, and we do provide very high customer service.
Well, you know, I really see that with your interaction with your customers. It really is like a party in the restaurant. Everybody is talking to one another, and everybody's enjoying their time here. For your hospitality and for your amazing food, we'd really like to thank you and David for having us here today. For Local Eats from the Mayflower Grove Grill, I'm Donna Rodriguez.
Today's Town Talk comes from Pembroke, and we have Pembroke's Town Administrator, Ed Thorne, on the set with us. Welcome, Ed.
Oh, my pleasure, Jules.
Okay, so special town meeting in Pembroke is happening next Tuesday night.
That's correct.
Talk to me about the major items that are on the agenda.
Normally what we do is we have a lot of capital expenditures in the fall, because that we know then that you know, any kind of surplus revenue that we had from the previous fiscal year, that we're able to set aside some monies for certain things. I mean, this year we have, you know, police cruisers, we have a server for the town hall computer system, we have some IT stuff for the school department. We have some big trucks and small trucks for the DPW.
Is this all money that we want to spend, that we have to have the voters approve?
No, these are items that the departments have done their research on and have submitted their proposals, and the folks at town meeting will have a chance to vote up or down on these expenditures. But most of the time, they understand that our departments won't ask for anything unless they absolutely need it.
Right. Okay. Capital expenses and the balancing last year's budget. How does that work?
And normally we have, especially if you have a bad winter like we did, our expenses go through the roof. And at the end of the last fiscal year, we had a $585,000 deficit in the snow and ice budget. That's not uncommon for communities our size, but in our case, we waited until after the close of the fiscal year, and we would spend that kind of money at this town meeting, and that would balance our FY14 budget, which will allow us to balance a budget and send it off to the Department of Revenue so we can set a tax rate.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's talk about the traffic signal on Pleasant Street and Route 53, which has been, ever since I've been in town, has been an issue. Long time. Where are we?
We've had one engineering study that was done several years ago. Mass DOT pretty much told us it's their highway, and they would want us to follow their procedures. So back in February 2013, we had a special town meeting that appropriated a bunch of money, over $100,000, to engineer that traffic signal. And now we go through the hoops that Mass DOT wants us to go through. Right now we're at the 25% design, and there'll be a public hearing sometime December, January at Town Hall to discuss the items that we have. An issue right now is DOT wants us to construct sidewalks on the west side of Route 53. Right now, our proposal was to have sidewalks on the east side, which is the Pleasant Street side.
Right, where the reason we're putting in the light is Pleasant Street, right.
But one of the things that DOT wants to do is they want to encourage communities to build sidewalks.
Right, okay.
And whenever they're doing major projects in Route 14 from the intersection of Route 53 and 14 all the way through the middle of town is going to be a street widening project with sidewalks.
Okay.
And so they're asking us, literally telling us that you're going to be putting sidewalks in, so we want you to design a project that has sidewalks on both sides of the street.
So now we have a new wrinkle in the whole process.
Absolutely, and one of the things, and that's going to cost us extra money. So at the special town meeting, we're asking for another $9,500 to engineer the sidewalks on the other side of the street.
Okay, to be continued.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching this week's show. Replay times are listed on our website, PACTV.org, or you can catch us on YouTube by searching for the PACTV Community News Channel. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to receive previews and links to all of our stories. That's it for this week, and we'll be back next week with a special Halloween episode of PCN, so see you then.